With agriculture right in our corner, we're bound to prosper and be the envy of the area.
And I'm sure a lot of interest must have been generated from the presentations we've had this morning. I'll ask Mark and Clive if they have anything to add with respect to the lionfish in our waters here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Mr. Williams is the Director of Marine Resources from St. Kitts, and Clive is the Fisheries Officer in Nevis.
Now, the lionfish, unfortunately, is already in our waters, but what we can do is try to prevent any other invasive species from coming in our waters. Now, the Department of Fisheries and Marine Resources, we have the St. Christopher and Nevis Fisheries Act of 1984, revised in 2002. Now, it states, under the aquarium fish, section 22, no person shall import, sell, or export any aquarium fish except with the written permission of the Chief Fisheries Officer in accordance with such condition as he and she specify. Now, the important of this is that if you plan to bring in a fish for aquarium, we need to know what the impact of that species is going to have on our habitat or ecosystem here in the Federation. So any person who plans to bring in any fish or have an aquarium must apply to the Chief Fisheries Officer, either Department of Marine Resources in St. Kitts or Department of Fisheries. Now, going to the lionfish. The first sighting of the lionfish in the Federation was in November of 2010. Fortunately, I was in St. Kitts at the Department of Marine Resources training at the time when we got a phone call from fishermen stating that off Kenneth Dive Center, they were spotted the first lionfish in the harbor. Since then, in 2010, we have quite a few sightings at the dive sites, mostly of juveniles. But for this year, we have seen the mature ones being more predominant. Now, I'm a part-time fisher and also a certified scuba diver. Now, from my experience on the water with the reefs, I've seen the juveniles, and now I've seen the more extended one. Now, Scuba Safari, which is run by dive operator Mr. Charlton, have been going out and spearing these lionfish I have seen on the reef. Now, like you, he used the Hawaiian swing. Not a spear gun, but he used the Hawaiian swing. Unfortunately, we do not have any data on the landing of lionfish because most of the fishermen, when they catch any lionfish in their traps, they normally kill it, use it as bait to catch lobster, or just dump it back overboard. So they don't normally bring it in. In the department, we have a lot of calls from the fishermen, especially from Jessops, about what to do when they catch a lionfish. Unfortunately, because we don't have any action plan in place, we have asked the fishermen to just go ahead and kill it and just throw it back overboard. Now, hopefully with this workshop, we will be more able to put in place an action plan that can be more effective to manage the lionfish invasion. We have both the red and the black lionfish in our waters. And as I said, over the years from 2010 to now 2011, we have seen increase. Our fourth season, where they have the breakwaters. No, the breakwaters were put in place to protect fourth season from future damage from storms. They have now become artificial reefs. They have a nice dive area, but unfortunately, it has also become the home of the lionfish. We have a sighting of lionfish at Orley, Jonesbury, by the pier, in Cotton Ground, even here in Charlestown and Overbat. So you don't have to go out to the reef now to dive to see it. As soon as you go in the water, you could just free dive or snorkel, and you will see. You don't have to scuba anymore. At this time, I'm taking over to Mr. Williams, Director of Fisheries.
As Clive stated, in November 2011, we had the first sighting of lionfish within the waters of St. Kitts and Nevis. In December, we had a lionfish tournament where we caught, I think it was around 45 lionfish in total for the tournament, which was surprising given that the first sighting was in probably a month before, less than a month before. In February of that year, we got a call from a U.S. importer of fish, stated that he wants all the lionfish that we can supply from St. Kitts and Nevis. Then it came down to an issue of pricing. He stated that he get it for $5 per kilo from Mexico. Well, you know the Mexican fishers are heavily subsidized. $5 per kilo is $2 US per pound, which roughly about $6 EC. You cannot get a fisherman go out there to target a fish for $6 EC when he could target the snapper to get $12 EC per pound. So I tell him that if it can be increased to probably $9-10 EC per pound, then that's something that can be done. But he said that's too much for him. So that fell through. During our agricultural open day in April, we had a lionfish tasting competition there, and the first day, no one touched a lionfish. Right? So the second day, we have so much lionfish fried up there. So I said, I tell one of the fisheries officers, you start eating. Right? So he started eating, and then persons watch him and they see him there for a while, and they say, well, they say you haven't died. So I think that's the same time I came up here for the opening of the groundbreaking for the complex. Yeah. So by the time I reached back down there, they said all the lionfish gone. And then the following week, they came asking for lionfish if we have any more. The fishermen brought into the department, so they fried and give the person. But that's not something that was unsustainable because we don't have an officer in the department assigned to that. It's something you probably could do on a Friday afternoon or so. In June of this year, St. Lucia called and said that they're not eating the lionfish in St. Lucia because they heard there's a lot of ciguatera in the waters from Antigua. I think Montserrat may have some aspects of ciguatera in. So they said, we're seeing that persons in St. Kitts are eating it. We want what you can supply us. So I tell a number of fishermen, right? And one fisherman brought in 75 pounds. So I call them man, I say, we have 75 pounds. Here, they say, well, what you sell it for? I said, well, the fishermen want $10 per pound on average for the fish. They say, okay, well, we'll give you $10 per pound. I got a call in Thursday. They said that they want some more. So if we are able to develop external markets throughout the region where lionfish is not eaten, like in Guadeloupe, Martinique, and Vincent, right, then we'll probably be able to, commercialize the fishing of this species. November 21st is World Fisheries Day. During that time, we normally have a week of activities. So looking to put on another tournament, but budget, I have to check to see what funds are available in the budget for something like that. But that's what we're doing so far in St. Kitts in relation to the lionfish invasion.
One is understanding that the parrotfish is so important, and this is to any of you, the importance of the parrotfish to our marine, our reef, or coral, and understanding how much the lionfish just eats and eats and eats and is so ferocious to the parrotfish. Tell me the importance of the parrotfish to our marine life. One, any one of you, and one, and then two, what are the natural predators that we may have in our waters that can help us to take care of the lionfish?
The parrotfish is very, very important for the reef. However, fishes like what we call the doctor fish, it also preys on eats the moss, feeds on the moss on the corals, and the lionfish eat the baby ones of those also. And the parrotfish species, there's a lot of different kinds of parrotfish. So that's a big species that feeds on the reef. And even the alewife or triggerfish, that eats both carnivore and vegetarian. It will eat the moss also, but it'll eat more of prey on fish, other fish also. So the lionfish is eating the fish that would keep the reefs pristine and cause the young coral to survive and grow. And once the reef gets overburdened with seagrass and seaweed and mosses, it will die. And coral is facing an uphill battle, from the ships that anchor or boats that anchor, but also from acid rain, and they're causing the water to get acidic, and pollution. And like in the case of Montserrat, a lot of the reefs are covered with silt from the volcano. And in any island where they're doing any construction close to the shore, the reefs are at mercy of this runoff also. So between pollution of man and oil tankers and then anchors and the prey of the protectors of the reef, of the fish that help the reef be pristine, the lionfish is just helping to the demise of the coral. So I hope I answered it.
Yes,
good
you
enough.
did. Having read and heard about the parrotfish and the help it is to keeping the reefs pristine, I also thought that maybe we need something with regard to our fishermen, that they would stop fishing the parrotfish. Because they too are predators to the parrotfish, like the lionfish is a predator to the parrotfish. So if we can get the community to stop buying parrotfish, maybe the fishermen would stop fishing the parrotfish.
Well, what happened a few years ago, there were some fisheries regulation changes in terms of mesh size. They increased the mesh size to inch and a half all around, but they didn't say inch and a half all around, right? So where you see sometimes you have inch and a half going north, and then you have a larger size going running parallel to the above. So within the next set of upcoming regulation changes, we'll fix that regulation requirement to avoid the parrotfish. The doctor fish is basically a difficult fish to avoid in the mesh because of the shape of the doctor fish. And when the regulation was changed, spearfishing wasn't accounted for. If you know that during the night, that's when the parrotfish sleep. And I realized some of our spearfishers going out at night to spearfish the parrotfish. So that's something we're going to be planning on updating within the next set of regulation changes. Yeah.
You remember the slide when it had nature found a way? Those pictures, the one with the bird, 10 minutes before that picture was taken, a lady noticed the bird went down and came up with a small lionfish that it swallowed right away. And then it went down again and came up with a big one that you see in the picture. So she got her camera out on time. And it took 10 minutes for it to get that one it swallowed, but it did. So it was like actively hunting them. That was the picture with the bird. The one with the mutton snapper from Honduras, that was taken by a diver outside a hotel. And the hotel people keep noticing they only seen a few juvenile ones here and there. And then the diver was lucky enough to catch on film a mutton snapper attack that fish you see in the picture. It attacked it once, swam around, and came back and finished it off. So they are getting accustomed to them and seeing them as prey. In Honduras as well, they train sharks. They train the sharks to attack them, and in other pictures you see a shark will spit it out. Or they train the sharks, but like we don't want to do it because we're in the water all the time. So
sharks are already trained without us even training.
yeah.
And one special side, as soon as I come down, the sharks are there with me. So it's like, okay.
So and we don't like that change in behavior.
In the Cayman Islands, they have fish sanctuaries or nurseries, and divers, like for financial gain, divers allowed to take their people out there to dive, but they cannot touch any coral or fish. But what they're allowed to do for entertainment for their divers that they're taking out is they take squid and fish, and they feed the small fish and the groupers and mutton snappers. And they got a special permit because they saw so much lionfish in this sanctuary area, just like what they're doing in Statia. They gave the dive people permit to spear only, and they can only fire the spear if it's not going to hit the coral, and spear the lionfish. Well, when they take the tourists out diving, they have a sack and they take out a piece of squid or fish, and they shake it like that, and the mutton snapper come and feed right out of their hand. It's a tourist attraction. So the diver, just for fun, decided to take this lionfish. He took his knife and speared it through the head after he had speared it to make sure it was dead. And then he held it in the mouth and just shook it like that. It's on YouTube, you can see it. And mutton snapper just came and just grabbed it out of his hand and swallowed it down. So what is hoped by them doing this is that the other mutton snappers swimming past, seeing that, hey, that guy ate it. I'm going to try eating it too. So like what we are now seeing in Station or in Honduras, where they are now seeing that the mutton snapper are actually eating them alive, it's hoped that more fish will see them as a prey. Because if you go and dive and you see a lionfish, it just looks like a big clump of seaweed and it's just floating there. And the small fish, because they don't know it's a predator, will just swim right up to it and it just suck it in. So that is hopefully, if you can train, I said this in an agricultural program on Montserrat, training the fish to eat lionfish. Is because there is so many around the Caribbean and around Montserrat in our particular case. It's hoped that we could get the fish trained to start eating the lionfish. And in Guadeloupe now, as we said earlier, about having derbies and so forth, and I told you earlier in my conversation that I went to Guadeloupe, and the same gentleman who's in charge of fisheries, what he does, he brings in the lionfish and cleans it in front of his customers and gives it to them. When they take it home, and because in Guadeloupe, they're the biggest per capita of fish eaters in the Caribbean. And when they take it home and they cook it up in their own style and see how tasty it is, they come back. But when they come back, he said, well, you have to pay for it now. But the marine biologists and the government of Guadeloupe is not sanctioning the promotion of sale of lionfish as yet. What they're presently doing, they're going to every single village around, prearranged, and have a lionfish festival. And the government is sponsoring this. And what happens is that before you eat the lionfish, they make you sign a waiver that we're giving you this lionfish to eat. However, if you get sick, we're not responsible. Now, it's humorous, but it's a real fact. What happened is that although Guadeloupe does not suffer from ciguatera poisoning, and a lionfish is not going to swim from Redondo, where it's known for ciguatera poison, and swim to Guadeloupe, as long as they do this research, so they research that lionfish from the place it's caught till the consumer, and then they call the consumer 3 days later to find out if they're okay. And then after they finish the entire circle of Guadeloupe, the government of Guadeloupe will sanction you can eat lionfish. And well, Montserrat is borderline with Redondo in the sense of possibility for ciguatera poisoning. I heard in St. Martin that they are not advocating eating lionfish because around St. Martin and St. Bart's is noted for a lot of ciguatera poisoning. Now, what happened is that a lot of the small fish, tropical fish that live on a reef are not consumed by man. So it's not known if they are having ciguatera poisoning and be poisonous. So because the lionfish consume these, it's best to do their research and find out if these lionfish are good in the sense of not being poisoned with ciguatera to consume. But when I was in Guadeloupe, they had a pot that could feed about 300 people in this session, and it was full of lionfish, boiled lionfish, and they were serving it, and everybody was happy. Everybody enjoyed it.
Well, we have to keep struggling to control them. Yeah, they're delicious. Most of the 400 and something we caught, we ate. It's really good. And I'm very happy to hear about people wanting export and so, but no, we can't keep up. So it's not such a balanced trade-off yet at all. We do have to worry.
Number of eggs in a mass is in the thousands. I don't have the research. If there's research to say what percentage is likely to survive out of that thousands.
Surprisingly, they don't know too much about lionfish, what happens at all, here or there. So if they don't even know the origin of the lionfish, what happens, it's really hard here. But it seems like in the Pacific that much more of the eggs and larvae are getting predated by something. But what something is the question. So maybe we also have a similar fish here that just need to get accustomed to that we now have a lot of larvae and lionfish eggs and start eating that as well. But a real number, an estimate, I haven't found that anywhere.
I wanted to ask the St. Kitts officer for the fish for export to St. Lucia. Were they going to be sold as is, or did you have to send them kind of ready to eat? Or is it just by the pound, the whole fish?
The sold as is.
Wow.
When the fishermen brought it to us, we freeze and send to St. Lucia.
Well, that's great. Then.
That's the way they said they want them, right?
Okay.
Yeah, they said they want them just frozen, and they will do the rest.
Are there any reports here? I remember Brother Anselm saying that there would probably, wouldn't be a problem with the lionfish here caught in certain areas. So I guess we wouldn't go over and fish Redondo.
Yeah, we're like close Redondo. But those lionfish that were caught were south of Nevis.
Okay.
A fisherman, a lobster fisherman from Old Road, he caught 39 in 20 pots. Right?
Okay.
So he brought them to us. But what we did first, though, we did a old school test. We break the head to see if any flies will go to it. Yeah, and then we did that. We do that normally if they bring in a batch and the entire batch was caught in the same place. Then flies will go into it, and then we have stray dogs which we give to stray dogs. So we say basically they're safe to consume.
That's a fisherman's trick, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we didn't want them to go to St. Lucia and then someone got sick down there, and then they said they got them from St. Kitts and thing. At least we did something as precaution. Yeah.
You mentioned in the beginning that with the heavy rains and the cloudiness in the water, the runoff, that they disappeared a bit. They like to be in clear, clean water?
I do not know how to answer that question. It's just that whether they couldn't see the fish traps to go into the fish traps or what, but there was a marked, drastic reduction in catch just for the past 3 weeks. And in just past 3 weeks, we had a heavy inundation of rain and runoff. And as far as your eye could see, the water around Montserrat is pretty white. As we call it, white. It's dusty. One point I'd like to bring out here that was not mentioned is that when you clean a lionfish and you cut off the spines are still dangerous because the poison sac is in the end of the tip of the bone, and it must be either thrown in very deep water or burnt or boiled. But once it's done that, once you boil it, the poison is inactive after that. So it's best to discard the spines very carefully. And it is important because sometimes you see people cleaning their fish on the beach and so forth. And a tourist or they themselves or their children walking past on the beach step on the spine while the spine is still fresh, and will wind up being lionfish stung.
I have gotten stuck once where I was dissecting, and it is painful actually after the fish was dead. But I want to show you, talking about the spines in this picture, the spines in the glass. That is a lady started a business. She makes toothpicks from the spines. She processes them. They're good to go. You eat a fish and you use the spine to clean your teeth. So value-added product there. And I wanted to emphasize two things. Because you ask about the survival rate, and so that's why it's so important to have your data, because there's not much known, not even where they're from. They're not here that long in the Atlantic. So the more data we can put together and help with the whole wider Caribbean, get some answers, you know.
We have been inundated with information on the lionfish. I think we would have gotten a whole week of information in a couple hours. And I must commend the panelists here, the presenters, as well as the NHCS once again for putting together this workshop.
With agriculture right in our corner, we're bound to prosper and be the envy of the area.